Well, hello, 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 and welcome tonight. Oh my goodness, you have to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about video, working online, doing videos, so many other avenues to cover. But the lady that we have tonight, the leading lady, is going to be sharing with you so much information about videos and how major and important they are to you, regardless to what you're doing and how you're working, whether it's online or brick and mortar. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But I'd like to say welcome and thank you for being here. It's always good to see you. I am Joy Ruffin, signature style specialist, professional speaker, and creator of Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. My work is with women who are in their second chapter. Now, this is regardless of age. Women who struggle with, and it's always that inner struggle, and they're not quite sure about how to style themselves. So, what I do is I help them to erase that struggle and to stop spending gobs of money and never feeling the way that they want to feel. So, every leading lady who comes to you is going to share with you her journey, her transformation, external, internal, and bring to you insights and awarenesses that will help you on your journey. Because aren't we all on a journey? Our guest tonight is Kayla Philo. Now, her background is in television producing and video, and she is a whiz at it. So I'd like it if you would help me to say hello and to welcome her to the show. Hello, Kayla, and welcome.
Hi, Joy. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everybody.
Oh, you're no more excited than I am. I am beyond excited to have you here because I know, Kayla, that video is the number one means to get your message out there. So tell us a little bit about how you came to the work that you're doing now and why you love it so much. Share with us that.
Well, thank you for asking that. Actually, I don't have a television background. I got into video when my kids were younger, probably maybe like a lot of your listeners or viewers that are watching us now. We all,
Yes.
some of us tried to find different flexible things to do when our kids were little so they would be around and our schedules could flex with theirs. And that was the case with me. So I started out doing website design because my degree is in marketing and developing a website is a marketing exercise. And then as soon as you could do video, I was like, oh, that's the way my brain thinks. I popped open the
Mhm.
editing on iMovie years ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how I think. And I always just thought I was weird before that. So, so I started out doing video I worked for a company in San Francisco who would contract with filmmakers all over the country to do short videos for local businesses, like a Yellow Pages ad or City
Uh-huh.
Search, if anybody remembers City Search back in the day. So I would show up on location, never having been there before, set up, get the story, the marketing, points from the nervous entrepreneur or business owner who had never been on camera before. Is this thing is sounding familiar to anybody? And get their story, shoot the rest of the video, the pieces that I needed, and then go home and edit it and send it to my producer. And I must have done that hundreds of times over, about 8 years or so of that kind of work. So,
Mm.
and I loved it. That turns out to be, just I liked the challenge of being in a new place each time. So that was how I cut my teeth on web video, and now the rest is history. I can bring you up to date on why I'm here now if you like, or we can move on just to talk about other things.
Absolutely. So that was the beginning of your entree into video making, and you liked it enough
Mhm.
to want to. I thought there was television. I don't know where I got that from, but that's okay. You cleared that up for us. But now you're deep into video making for those like myself who are, I like the way you put it. You say midlife women. I say second chapter, regardless of age, same thing. But how did you come to this video magic for those of us who maybe aren't or were not or are in the process of becoming savvy with it and at it? So what happened there? How did that come about?
Well, this is a good, pretty funny story. So a few years ago, I basically turned in midlife. I turned my life upside down and shook it out and did a somersault and tried to figure out, where I was going to land. So in the process of that, I sold or donated everything that wouldn't fit into my car, and I drove away in my car, and I went to visit family in Montana for a little while. But I had recently gotten a divorce, and my youngest had gone off to college in London, so she wasn't going to be coming home to do laundry anytime soon. So, so I just thought I'm going to leave this nest really empty. And seriously, the other part of it was I always knew I wanted to create a location independent business, and that was an online business. And I knew it was going to be something where I was helping women. And so I actually started out with an entirely different idea. And I was working on that idea, and I was in some entrepreneur accelerator groups, some other groups, with other women entrepreneurs. And I would be talking about my little idea, and they'd be like, yeah, that's nice, but you know how to do video? Tell me about video. How do I do this? And I've got all these questions. And I was like, really? So after enough of that, it was like the universe was like, ding, ding, ding. Actually, what people, how you can really help women is create, go back and create a system around what you know really well. Because I don't know if you're familiar, Joy, with this idea of the curse of knowledge, where you think just because you know something, nobody else, everybody else must know that too. And actually, that's not true. So I went back and I took I had been doing video for nonprofits and entrepreneurs and small businesses for about 15 years by that time. I'm a whiz at the short form, especially. And so I just put all that into a system and started to talk to women about, so when they would say, how do I do X, Y, and Z? I would say, this is how you do it. And it's not just one step, it's actually a system. So that's how I got into this work right now, is women were asking me for it.
Well, Kayla, I love the way you express that, because that's so true. And I think we are all up to a point guilty of that, meaning whatever our expertise might be, whatever arena we dance in and dance with light and grace and beauty, we think everybody can do it. And even for me at this point in time, I love your chuckle, that I discovered that's not so. A lot of people like me and technology, I love it, but it's not my strong suit. So I'm always gathering around me people to help and support me to do whatever I need to do. And what you're saying is that's what happens with all of us at some point in time. I think that's so true. And when it comes to video, there's that fear that many people have about doing video. And I have it too, but I just keep going forward. So what is it you think why do you think you were getting that question often about video? You do video. How do you do video? Can I do video? That kind of thing.
Right. Yes. So I'm glad you we'll just get right to it. You really can't talk about, especially women in video, without talking about fear. Now, not every woman has fear of video or being on camera, because really most of the women I have worked with do. And it's a fear of being seen, of being visible in a new way. And I used to think it was more the midlife ladies issues, because, we didn't grow up taking 10 selfies a day and on YouTube with our cat, right? But actually, I talked with some millennials. I've done some research around this. And they, one young woman said, I don't mind being on video. She said, I just feel so exposed with that kind of content out there. And I thought, so what the root of what this comes from, though? So if you're feeling that way, you're not alone. It's actually, there's one reason, a couple of reasons, but one of them is it goes way, way back to the time of our cave woman grandmothers, or the women who lived on the tundra with the hunter-gatherer society. What do you think would happen to a woman while she's taking care of her kids around the campfire, right? Her mate is off hunting something that day because they got to eat, right? And if she's hopping around and being super loud, her kids are running around being loud and, showing up and being visible, what's going to happen? Well, a bear or a tiger is probably going to eat them. So that was not a smart thing to do back, genetically speaking, for eons. So that's part of our animal brain that's, saying to us, constantly telling us, be quiet, stay low. I mean, women in all arenas are working with this, fighting against that. And especially so now when we're on, this chance to be on video, and sometimes if you're in midlife, you're changing, your look is changing, your insight is changing, how you feel about things is changing, and so it becomes daunting to think about, stepping in front of the camera. Because look, I'm actually an introvert. I was behind the camera for 15 years, loved it back there. I got to be all bossy, tell people what else to do. And then when I started this online business, I looked in the mirror, I said, oh crap, I said, I can't be lecturing them. They got to get on camera, and if I'm not doing it, so here I am.
I get it. I hear you loud and clear. And I wanted to go back to what you said about that exposure thing, because I'm connecting and relating and tying that into what's so prevalent now is a super, super casual. And so many people, because they're coming into the video arena, they are super, super casual and a lot of a sense of being professional and being a business person, because more or less most of the people who are using it for that, to be a business person and to bring in business. So if you establish, you can be exposed and super casual and everything. But if you're starting out, I think you got to have a little bit of decorum, that old fashioned word about you. So that exposure, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, do you think that's because people don't want others? Think I have the answer, but I want to hear what you have to say. That people just don't want people to see them as they really are because they're not confident enough within themselves to be exposed?
Yes, I think that's often one reason, confidence for sure. Another one is if you haven't seen yourself on video, like watched yourself, it's shocking. And again, if you didn't grow up, doing a lot of video, I mean, we didn't really have the capacity to do so because,
No.
now we have this little thing, right? Anybody can do video and we do it a lot. But it's the first few times you do it, you notice everything about yourself that nobody else honestly really sees, but that bugs you. And so we have to get over this hump of seeing ourselves as really other people see us, and not that persona we built up around ourselves over the years when we look in the mirror. The other thing is, up until a few years ago, the only imagery we had to manage for our brand, and I work with women who have, and men too, but more so my niche has been women so far, but that are the face of their business, consulting coaches, and anyone who's building a personal brand alongside what they're doing. And that person, most likely, if they're in middle age, didn't grow up. The only thing they had to manage was their headshot, which they took one every 5 years, if that much, and that was it. Then the business card spoke for them, email or letters back in the day spoke for them. But now we have the capacity and the privilege, honestly, to be online speaking for ourselves. But there's a little bit of a learning curve and a little bit of a mental curve to get past for most people. Yeah.
I find that fascinating for numerous reasons, Kayla, because I often think of, well, first off, I love sports, and Michael Jordan was one of my favorite basketball players. And one of the things that I read in his bio and so many of the books that I've read about him is that after every game, he would, you know where I'm headed? He would go back and review the game, the video, and make sure that the next time out of the gate, he corrected whatever he did. And that's what we have to do. And I'm sure that's what you're teaching and showing a lot of those who are hesitant, whether they're introverted or extroverted, about being on video, that you have to get used to seeing yourself, knowing who and what you are, and projecting the best of you out there. I think that's pivotal in getting used to being on camera. When it comes to doing a video, you have to get used to seeing yourself. And a lot of what you see, you're not going to like, but yet there are ways that you can work around that. So how do you help people to get there and to see and understand that?
Well, there is this idea that, practice, if you're learning to ride a bike, say you're 45 and you're learning to ride a bike, you're going to have to do it. There's no other way to do it than just to do it. So people don't like that answer, but doing it, you do have to start doing it. Now, you can set it up. There are different ways that you can make it easier for yourself, though. And that's part of what my system, because there's a lot of reasons why women feel like video is hard. And, on top of the fact they're not like just hopping out of bed going, woohoo, gonna do video today. They also have made it difficult for themselves to look good and sound good on video because they haven't picked a spot. They don't know how to frame themselves. They don't know how to do simple lighting. Doesn't take much extra. But these are the little things that I used to think everybody knew. Turns out they don't. So, and if you put all of those things together in a little bit of a process, and then you actually create time in your schedule for this, learning this new skill, that signals to everything around you, inside and outside, this is important to my business. And then that right there elevates the energy around it a little bit. So there are ways you can make it easier on yourself, because it is, while you're getting past the idea that, you know, you don't like how you look on video, eventually to the point where I love my videos. I'm grateful I can do them, because honestly, there are, you know, for every woman who has the ability to do this, there's probably 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that don't yet. They will eventually, but being nervous about being on video is a little bit of a first world problem. So I encourage, you know, everyone who's got the, you know, watching right now, has the capacity to do video, can afford a $40 light kit. And, you know, I should actually apologize for this microphone. My good microphone is in Mexico, and that's another story. But, you know, normally I have a better microphone than this. And so it's kind of a lot. Go ahead.
Yes, one of the things that I wanted to say is that, to go back to the Michael Jordan thing and all of the things that you're sharing with us, is when you look at these videos, you have to be real and authentic about what you're seeing for yourself, the good, bad, and the not so much so, and work on those things. I'm doing it all the time, every time. How you convey your words, how you deliver your look, and everything. It's not the end all be all, but yet ultimately it is important, but you can't just do one shot and give up on it. So that's what you're helping people with, to understand about lighting and sound and how you show up and present and all of that. And just be you. And not everybody's going to love you. How many times do we have to hear that, right?
And you don't want everybody to love you. That's the whole thing. Okay, so your imperfections, your imperfections are actually what are going to endear you to your crowd. Okay, so perfection is never the goal on video. It's not possible anyway. I mean, I don't care. Well, maybe if you're Meryl Streep, yeah, but we're not. So perfection is not the goal on video. Your imperfections are what make you appealing to your tribe. And the reason for that is there is this other human construct at a genetic level where it's called reciprocity. And if you sense that somebody is doing something for you that costs you something, or costs them something, then you have this internal response, most of us, to give back, or we feel compassion for that, or it makes us feel good about that person. So, and we trust them a little bit more. So you want to show, you know, appropriately that you're not perfect, and that, you know, you're working on this. And it gets into, there's 2 pieces. There's how to do video, and then there's what are you saying. So those are, you know, they're very different conversations that have to go together at some point. But I also got to say, because you brought it up twice now, it's got to be synergy. So you're talking Michael Jordan. So one of my favorite books ever is called Reckless.
I'm going to ask you just a second, Kayla. I'm going to ask you, because this is a good point and place for me to segue. I'm going to ask you just to hold that thought, and I'll be right back with you. I know where you're going, and I want to go there. And before we do that, what I want to do is share this with you. First off, Kayla has so much information to share with us, but here's my invitation to you. I'd love to extend this invitation. If you are not already in my Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leading Legacies, I'd love for you to connect. And if you've not received your complimentary brochure, How You Can Discover Your Signature Style and Stamp, just type in style, S-T-Y-L-E, and that brochure will be delivered to you automatically. But bear in mind that the work that I do with women who are in their second act, regardless to age, is all about erasing that inner struggle and making sure that wherever you go and however you show up at your best. and you erase that struggle of spending so much money and time to get a wardrobe and walking into that closet and it's never exactly what you want. That's what we do together. And each and every week when I come to you with this leading lady who's going to be sharing her journey, external, internal, all the good and bad, with you so that you can begin yours. And especially tonight where we're talking about video, because of this quarantine and this lockdown that we're all in, it's become so vital in so many ways. So I want you to stay tuned, join the group, and then listen to what Kayla is going to be sharing with us. And she'll be sharing with us some means and ways that you can connect with her. And the other thing is that every leading lady who comes here, send her a friend request. Connect with her, because that's the purpose. Connections. We all need each other. That said, Kayla, I know where you are going with your comment. So continue with Michael Jordan. You said I brought that up several times, and I did.
Yes. So that is some synergy because I am actually in a coaching group right now. We're just finishing up a few weeks of coaching with Tim Grover, who wrote Reckless, and he was Michael Jordan's trainer for 15 years. So I had access, wasn't one-on-one coaching, not quite at that level. I'm not MJ, but in a group with him, giving new content every Tuesday night, answering questions, because I had read that book and I don't know why. I still don't know exactly why it spoke to me so much, because I don't even watch basketball that much. I mean, NBA, and I'm reading this book. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to figure out how do you get that mindset? And so that book, honestly, if you're afraid of doing anything, you might pick up Reckless, and it might help you with your videos too. But I highly, and follow Tim Grover's, he's got stuff on YouTube now, like speeches he's given or, talks. He's not a motivational speaker. That's what I like about him. He's getting at all this at a different level. So I would highly suggest that. And it's just so funny that you talk about MJ, because that's, I've learned more about MJ in the last few weeks than I ever knew before.
Well, I'm happy that you're sharing that, Kayla, because I think that one of the reasons that you said you didn't know why you were drawn to him, there is no such thing as perfection. There just isn't that animal, but we all strive for excellence. And when we get into our zone of genius, we want to go beyond the zone of excellence. And so that's what Michael Jordan did. And he did it without any fanfare. You know what I mean? And most of us who are doing this, myself included, and all of our friends who are out here watching, those who are watching now and those who will come for the replay, we get it. We know that nothing happens overnight. We have to grow, practice. And that's what you're helping us with. What would you say would be the number one reason that women come to you to get into the video stream of whatever it is that they're doing? What's the number one reason they come to you?
Because they've run out of denial. No, I would say the number one reason, is because they've gotten to a point in their marketing and they're looking around honestly at what is going on in the landscape online. And they realize that if they don't start to do video, they are going to fall behind and become less relevant. And this happens because I've had clients who prior to signing up with me would say, I do all my marketing locally. Just get me in the room and I'm great. I'm like, well, that's also fine. But guess what? The internet is everywhere. And the person you talk to at a meet and greet is going to go back to their hotel room and they're going to look up your website and then everybody else's website that does stuff in your space. And if the other person has a series of videos, who do you think they're going to call
Kayla.
back? Right?
Kayla, you could not have given me a better response, a better reply, because that's a fact. Whether you enjoy doing it, whether you love doing it, whether you're good at doing it, you've got to get into the ring and do the best that you can, because the points that you made, but when they go back and they start doing their research and dialing in and out, they're going to look for the person that delivered something in a video that spoke to them. And so we've got to get in that ring and do that. And I think it's grand what you're teaching people. Now let's speak about and take that, because what you just said connects to this too, how you show up. I'm very much about how you show up. And I'm not talking about just the exterior. So when we talk about signature style, how would you classify your style? What's your PowerPoint addressing? What classification are you going to put yourself in when it comes to style? And twofold, how important is it to you how people show up on camera from the waist up, especially in these times?
Yeah, this is such a good question. So, just really briefly, I was living in Mexico for about 5 years. I've been
Uh-huh.
living kind of a digital nomad lifestyle, laptop lifestyle, in
Mhm.
apartments, 6 months or so at a time, but didn't have a big wardrobe. And so when I came back to Houston for a family wedding in early March. My business has always been based here. And COVID hit. I had to decide overnight, basically, was I going to go back to Mexico and write it out or was going to stay here? I thought, think I'll stay here, which totally was the right decision. But the reason I'm sharing all that is because I signed a lease on an apartment. I moved in with 2 suitcases.
Mhm.
So talk about a blank slate for your signature style. I had been wearing a lot of black for travel, and I started looking at that and I thought, it doesn't fit who I want to be now. I'm not a big prints kind of person. I'm not, super. So I think it's more like classic, sporty, updated. I don't know if that would be in there or not. Um,
That can
but
be.
yeah,
I love what you said. You
mhm.
said that when you looked into that suitcase and you opened and unpacked and whatever, it wasn't who you wanted to be.
It
So
was
you
truly difficult.
you
Hmm.
know, it can be fun and it can be a challenge, but the thing is, we explore different avenues and aspects of us all the time. And what you did, and from black to this beautiful red, I get it. I really do. And I like the way you expressed it. It makes a big, big difference. What advice, what consulting, what tip or nugget would you want to leave us with? The time flies here. So when it comes to video, Kayla, and women particularly, because I only work in this line with women particularly in their second chapter. And that is regardless to age, because I've met women in their 30s and their 40s who are looking for a signature style. But what counseling nugget, I like to say joyisms, would you like to leave the audience with? I also have your name and your website here and your email, I think. But how do you want to leave them with a comment or a remark that they can get in touch with you?
Okay, well, my email is Kayla at mirroryourbrillianceonvideo.com. It's a long URL, so I think Joyce put it in the information, but it's like mirror your brilliance on video. Yeah, there it is.
Mhm.
And it's the longest URL in the world, but that's what we're doing, darn it. So that's what I want you to
That's
type it in
it.
at least once. And the other thing is, I mean, I laugh a lot about this. I try to keep it light because there is some fear around it. Nobody likes to be shoulded into doing video. So that's not really what I want to leave you with. What I want to leave you with is this idea of maybe doing some thought around it, some journaling around it, and developing a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to have this kind of stage. It's something our grandmothers never had. It's
Yes.
something that, and right now, it's especially relevant because if you don't like what's going on in the world, and you see somebody out there who is on their stage, claiming that space, and you're not doing it, it's a missed opportunity for all of us. So
Yeah.
that is what I would say is we desperately need more of the feminine energy, the power. We didn't even
Yeah.
get into that the conversation, which would have been, so great. But we need
Well,
more of it expressed online, and women are falling behind because they're not doing online video. I have statistics around it, and it's midlife women, and then we sit and complain at happy hour how we feel invisible, and there's no reason to feel invisible. You got YouTube, you got this.
you nailed it here. And I am grateful and appreciative to you for coming and sharing this time and space with us, Kayla. I'm going to ask you to step into the green room, but I'm also, in my closing, going to ask everyone who's here now and those who will come later to align with you. And I'm going to put up your website again and your Facebook group so that they can connect with you. Thank you for all this powerful information that you share with you. I'm grateful.
Thank
And
you.
I'll be back with
Thank
you
you.
in 1 second. All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What can I say? The time flies here. It just goes. Where does it go? Who knows? Let me say this to you. Here's a nugget or a tip for you, because we're talking about women who are in their second chapter, midlife Carla says, Kayla says, video magic for midlife women. I say second chapter, tomato, tomato. But here's a tip for you. If you are in your second chapter, be mindful about the shoes that you wear. Sounds trivial and light, but your shoes can date you quicker than almost anything can. So be mindful that your shoes are spiffy and up to speed. And bear in mind that it's our time, meaning Kayla said it, I'm saying it to you, and those of you who are in the audience, thank you for being here. It's our time to rise. It's our time to step up to the plate and throw the ball, because that heart-centered leadership, the universe is weeping for. She, and I think it is a she is saying, come forth, step into your power, and be all that you can be, and share that beingness with other women who need your voice, your message. So I can say again and again, thank you for being here. And I always do, because I'm grateful that you are here. Please get your complimentary ebook. Please align with Kayla and make sure that you connect with her, because what she's doing is phenomenal. And she's very, very good and soulful at what she's doing. You wouldn't regret it. That I promise you. And until the next time, you be and stay well. Take care of you first. Do all that they're telling us to do so that you can stay well and be here to do all that you have to do for the others who will come after you. Thanks again. All the best. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. So long for now.